Good evening, class. I hope I find you well. In today's lesson, we are going to introduce a new topic of matrices. Right? Matrix refers to numbers which are presented in rows and columns inside a bracket. So when it is one, it is called a matrix, right? But when there are many, we call them matrices, right? So in this segment, we are going to start by learning how to identify the order of a matrix. When you are given a matrix, are you able to tell the order of that matrix? So I'm going to teach you a skill on how to identify the order of the matrix, as it is going to play a critical role when we do addition and multiplication of matrices. So I'm going to start with the first one. We are given 2, 4, 3, minus 1, 0, and 5, and the question is requiring you to state the order of that matrix. So when stating the order of the matrix, you can make use of this direction. Right? I want you to notice something. The arrow is starting at this point, then it is moving upwards to your right side. So what am I trying to say here? We have two numbers upwards. So I'm going to write 2, then I put by. Then we have 3 numbers on our right side. So this bracket or this matrix is referred to as a 2 by 3 matrix. I hope you are listening. Then we move on to this one. We start here. We have got 3 numbers upwards, but we have got 1 number on your right side. So this is a 3 by 1 matrix. Then we move on to question number 3. We use the same trick here. 2 numbers upwards, so you write 2. So how many numbers to your right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So this matrix is a 2 by 4 matrix. Then we move on to note number 4. How many numbers do you have upwards? 3 numbers upwards. How many numbers do you have on your right side? 2 numbers on your right side. So this is a 3 by 2 matrix. So this is how you identify the order of matrix. So we are now moving on to the next segment, where I'm going to teach you how to add and subtract matrices. So I want you to segment we are going to focus on addition and subtraction of matrices. Right. So you can only add or subtract matrices of the same order. It means that if you have matrices of different orders, it is impossible to add them. But in multiplication, it is possible. You can find a situation whereby matrices of different orders multiply each other, provided a certain condition is satisfied, which I'm going to teach you when we reach there. Right. The first question is requiring you to add matrix A with matrix B, right? So you have to substitute A first with the given matrix. So the given matrix of A is what? The given matrix of A is 3, 2, minus 4, and 1 like this. Then I put the addition sign. A is going to be added by matrix B, where matrix B is minus 6, minus 8, 5, minus 2 like this. I hope you are listening, class. So, what is the rule when adding matrices? Right, when adding matrices, corresponding terms add each other. By corresponding, I refer to terms which are sitting at the same position. Those terms, they add each other. For example, 3 is a corresponding term with minus 6. Why? Both numbers are located at the top left of each matrix. So we refer to them as corresponding numbers. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put a smaller bracket so that I combine 3 and minus 6 through addition. So you write 3 first. Then you put the plus sign in between the brackets. Then you put minus 6. I hope you are listening. right? Then move on to minus 4, right? Combines with minus 8. So I'm going to write minus 4, right? Then you put plus, then you write minus 8. We move on to the bottom row. 2 is a corresponding term with 5. So I'm going to write 2, then you write the plus in between the brackets, then you write 5. 1 is a corresponding term with minus 2. So you write 1 plus, then you put minus 2 like this. I hope you are listening, class. Right, so there is multiplication facts that we learned in ZJC. Negative times negative, you get a positive result. Negative times positive, you get a negative result. So we are going to apply those facts so that we simplify the two sides in between. I hope you are listening. So we have plus and minus. It means that plus and minus are going to result in a minus. I hope you are listening. So this is 3 minus 6. So 3 minus 6, you get minus 3. Right. Plus times minus, you get minus. So this is minus 4 minus 8. So minus 4 minus 8. If you have or if you subtract all negative numbers, the skill that you use is you add the two numbers, but the sign remains negative. So minus 4 minus 8, you get minus 12. 2 plus 5, you get 7. 1 plus minus 2, you get minus 1. Since plus and minus, they produce a minus. So 1 minus 2, you get negative 1. So this is your answer. Right, then move on to the next part of the question. A minus B, this time around we would like to subtract. So let me rub here. So in order to subtract matrices, we do the same skill. You subtract numbers that are corresponding to each other. So 3 is corresponding to minus 6, but you have to put the negative sign first before you write minus 6. So you are going to obtain 3 minus 6, right? Then you move on to top right, minus 4, minus here in between the brackets, and negative 8. Then you move on to the bottom row, we have 2 minus 5. Then we have 1 minus in between the brackets and minus 2 like this. I hope you are listening. So, negative times negative, you get what? You get positive using this multiplication fact. Negative times negative, you get positive. Negative times negative, you get positive. I hope you are listening. So, when simplifying the top left, it's 3 plus 6. 3 plus 6, you get 9. Then this is minus 4 plus 8. So, minus 4 plus 8, if you have one negative number and one positive number, the first thing is to identify the difference between the two numbers. The difference between 4 and 8 is 4, but you have to take the sign of the bigger number. So if we look at 8, 8 is the bigger number with a plus. So our 4 is going to be a plus 4. I hope you are listening. But if the situation was minus 8 plus 4, you are going to choose minus 4 because we have to take the sign of the bigger number. I hope you are listening. So minus 4 plus 8, you get positive 4. Then 2 minus 5, this is minus 3. 1 plus 2, you get 3. And this is your answer. So this is how you subtract. Right. Then move on to the last part of the question. It is requiring you to find A minus 2B. So this number, which is multiplying the matrix B, we refer to it as a scalar. It is a scalar multiple. Right. So, how do you simplify such a question? Right. So this time we have negative 2 in between. We have negative 2 in between. So you are not allowed to subtract, neither are you allowed to add before the introduction of scalar. So before we can even do this subtraction process, this scalar too must be introduced by multiplying each and every term inside the bracket before we do the subtraction sign. Right. So we have 3, 2, minus 4 and 1. I'm going to paste and copy them. But when introducing the scalar, you have to hold this negative. What I'm trying to say is, you don't say minus 2 times minus 6, but you take the positive part of 2, right, in order to multiply by the scalar. But the negative sign attached to 2 is left out. So you just take 2 without taking the negative sign. So 2 times minus 6, you get minus 12, right? 2 times minus 8, you get minus 16. 2 times 5, you get 10. Then 2 times minus 2, you get minus 4. So you just take the 2 only, ignoring the negative. The negative is left out in the middle. Right. So we are now moving on to the subtraction. So you now know that when subtracting, you subtract corresponding terms. Right. So 3 is a corresponding term with minus 12. Right. But you can notice that there is a negative sign in between the bracket. So this negative is going to multiply this negative to produce a plus. So it is 3 plus 12. You get 15. I hope you are listening, class. Then minus 4 is a corresponding term with minus 16. But negative is going to multiply negative to produce plus. So this is minus 4 plus 16. I hope you are listening. I want to teach you how to write directly. So this is minus 4 plus 16. Where is this plus coming from? The negative in between the brackets and the negative attached to minus 16. Minus times minus, you get plus. So minus 4 plus 16, the difference between 4 and 16 is 12. But you have to take the sign of the bigger number. 16 is the bigger number with a plus sign. So our answer is plus 12. Right. Then 2 minus 10, you get minus 8. 1 minus minus 4. Right. 1 is a like term with minus 4. But the negative in between the brackets is going to multiply the negative of 4. So negative times negative, you get plus. So 1 plus 4, you produce 5. And this is your answer. I hope you are listening, class. So do not confuse matrices with algebraic expressions. Right. In algebraic expressions, if you come across a question like 4x minus 2 open bracket x minus 4, then you are instructed to remove brackets and simplify. Right. So here you are going to take 4x as it is, but when removing the bracket, you have to take 2 with the negative sign, unlike with matrices. So here you get minus 2x, right? Then when you're multiplying 2 and 4, you start by multiplying the signs. So negative times negative, you get plus. So it's minus 2 times minus 4, you get plus 8. But when it comes to matrices, we do not say minus 2 times minus 6, but we say 2 times minus 6. So the negative aspect is left out, right? Unlike in algebraic expressions, when multiplying or removing the bracket, we take both 2 and the negative sign. I hope you are learning something, class. So I want you to stay tuned as we move on to multiplication or right. Welcome back to the third segment. In this segment, we are focusing on multiplication of matrices. Right. Like what I told you, that when it comes to addition and subtraction, you can only add or subtract matrices of the same order. But in multiplication, it is a possibility that matrices of different orders may multiply each other, provided they satisfy a certain condition. So we would like to start the condition that makes it possible for different matrices to multiply each other. What is the condition? So I want you to follow. Right. Let us dwell first on the matrix above. What is the order of this matrix? What is the order of this matrix? I told you in the first segment how to identify the order of the matrix. How many numbers do we have upwards? We have 2 numbers upwards, right? How many numbers do we have on our right side? We have 3 numbers on our right side. So this is a 2 by 3 matrix, right? So I'm going to multiply it by what? Let us look at the order of this matrix. How many numbers upwards? 2 numbers upwards. So this is a 2 by what? This is a 2 by 1 matrix, right? So if you look at the numbers in between, they are different. So if the numbers in between are different, it means it is impossible to multiply that combination of matrices. So this is the condition that I'm talking about, right? So it can only be possible to multiply a matrix provided the numbers in between are identical or are similar, right? So so you write impossible. Impossible is your answer here. So you write this is impossible. It can't. Why? Because the numbers in between are different. Right. So let us move on to the next equation. Right. We have 2 minus 3, 4, 1. We have 5 and minus 6. Right. So what is the order of the brackets? Right. This is a 2 by 2 matrix. Since we have got 2 numbers upwards and 2 numbers on our right, this is a 2 by 1 matrix, right? So for this combination, it is very possible for someone to multiply. Why? Because the numbers in between are similar. So this is the condition that you look before you multiply. Is it possible or is it impossible? You have to check at the numbers in between. Are they identical? Are they similar? I hope you are listening, class. So the numbers, or the number at the start and the number at the last, they determine the final answer. So our final answer after multiplication is going to come out as a 2 by 1 matrix. I hope you are listening. So a 2 by 1 matrix is in the form A, B like this, whereby we have 2 numbers upwards and 1 number on your right side. So in simple terms, our answer is going to come out in this form AB, which is a 2 by 1 matrix, right? Being explained by the first number and the last number. I hope you are listening, class. So we are now focusing on how to calculate A and B. I hope you are listening. Right. So to calculate A and B, when multiplying matrices, so let me rub here so that I can have enough space. Let me rub here so that I can have enough space. Right. So when multiplying matrices, you make use of what you call row by column. Row by column. Right. I'm going to rewrite these matrices. Let me rub them so that I can have enough space. I will rewrite them. Right. Row by column. So the first row is going to be multiplied with this column to get A. Why? Because A is a letter which is above. So we choose the row above. Why? Because we want to find A above, right? So the combination is like this. 2 minus 3 is the row, which is going to multiply 5 and minus 6, which is the column. So when multiplying row by column, the first number in the row is 2. It's going to multiply the first number in the column. So 2 times 5, you get 10, you write 10. I hope you are listening. Then the last number in the row is going to multiply the last number in the column. So it's minus 3 times minus 6. So minus 3 times minus 6, you get plus 18. So plus 18 is your answer. I hope you are following class. Right. So 10 plus 18, they are going to give you this value of A. It means that our A is 28. I hope you are listening. Right, move on to B. B is the letter which is found at the bottom. So we use bottom row times column. So by bottom row times column, it means I'm going to take 4, 1 to multiply 5 and minus 6. So this is row and this is column. So the first number in the row is 4 to multiply the first number in the column, which is 5. So 4 times 5, you get 20. Then you write 20. Then 1 is the last number in the row. That number is going to multiply minus 6. So 1 times minus 6, you get minus 6. I hope you are listening. 20 minus 6, it produces 14. It means that B is 14, A is 28. Then you are home and dry. So I want you to stay tuned as we move on to the next question on how to multiply matrices. Alright, welcome back to question number 2. We are given a 2 by 2 matrix, right? So you now know the order. This is a 2 by 2 matrix, which is multiplying a what? It is multiplying a 2 by 3 matrix. Right, so it is possible to multiply. Why? Because the numbers being produced in between are similar or they are identical. So it is possible, right? But what is the form of the outcome? What is the form of the answer? The first number and the last number, they determine the form of your answer. So the form of your answer is going to be a 2 by what? The form of your answer is going to be a 2 by 3 matrix. So let me represent the 2 by 3 matrix by unknown letters. So this is A, B, C, D, E, F. So this is a 2 by 3 matrix, whereby you have 2 numbers upwards and 3 numbers rightward. I hope you are listening, class. Right. So, like what the teacher is saying here, when multiplying matrices, you make use of row. A row is horizontal times column. A column is vertical. So rows are found in the first bracket, whereas columns are found in the second bracket. So it means we have 2 rows in the first bracket and 3 columns in the second bracket. I hope you are listening, class. So let us start by finding the value of A. Right. So what is the combination that one can use to find A? What is the combination that one can use to find A? Right. So to find A, you have to study. To find A, you have to study the position of A. A is above, right? So if A is above, it means that I'm going to use the row which is 4, 8. Why? Because 4, 8 is above and I want to find A which is above. I hope you are listening, class. Right. Then we are multiplying it by the appropriate columns. Remember, this time around we now have 3 columns. Right, but what is the appropriate column to find A? You can notice that A is being found in the first column, right? So the first column here is minus 3 and 1. This is minus 3 and 1. So the combination for A is 4, 8 times minus 3, 1. Right. So what is the rule when doing the multiplication process? The first number in the row multiplies the first number in the column. So it's 4 times 3. You get minus 12. I hope you are listening. Then 8 is the last number in the row. To multiply 1, the last number in the column. So 8 times 1, what do you get? 8 times 1, you get 8. So minus 12 plus 8 is representing the value of A. I hope you are following, class. So let us move on to the value of B. Let us move on to the value of B. Which row and which column? Right. Start the position of B. B is above. Since B is above, I'm going to use the row which is 4, 8, which is above. But 4, 8 is going to multiply which column? You can notice that B is in the middle column. So I'm going to choose minus 1 and 2 column. I hope you are following, class. Then we do the same concept. First number times first number. Last number times last number. So first number is 4 times first number, which is minus 1. 4 times minus 1, you get minus 4. Last number is 8 times last number, which is 2. 8 times 2, you get 16. So this value is representing B. I hope you are listening. Right, then we move on to C. The position of C is above. So since it is above, I'm going to use 4, 8, the above row. But what is the appropriate column? You can notice that C is being found in the last column. Since C is being found in the last column, I'm going to use 4 minus 5. Then we use the same concept. First number is 4. Right? So 4 times 4, you get 16. Last number is 8 and minus 5. So 8 and minus 5, you get minus 40. 16 minus 40 is representing C. I hope you are listening, class, and you are following. Then we move on to D. D is being found at the bottom. So I'm going to choose minus 2, 1, which is the bottom row, to multiply minus 3, 1, which is the first column. So minus 2 times minus 3, you get 6. Then 1 times 1, you get 1. So you add the product of the first numbers with the product of the last numbers. I hope you are listening. Add the product of the first numbers with the product of the last numbers. That's the idea. Then we move on to E. E is at the bottom, so I'm going to use minus 2, 1, the bottom row. But E is being found in the middle column. So the middle column is minus 1 and 2. Minus 1 and 2 like this. So first number times first number. So minus 2 times minus 1, you get 2. Since positive times positive, you get negative times negative, you get positive. Then 1 times 2, 1 times 2, they produce 2. I hope you are listening. Meaning to say that 2 plus 2 gives E. We are now moving on to F. You take minus 2, 1, right, to multiply 4 and minus 5. So minus 2 times 4, you get minus 8. 1 times minus 5, you get minus 5. Then you close your bracket like this. So minus 8 minus 5 representing F. Right, so we are now writing down our final answer using the concept or the skill of directed numbers that I told you earlier. Let us start with this one. This is minus 12 plus 8. Right, so when one number is negative and one number is positive and you want to add the two, right, the first thing to do is to find the difference between the two given numbers. So the difference between 12 and 8 is 4. You write 4 first. I hope you are listening. But what is the bigger number between the two? The bigger number is 12. It means that you get minus 4. But if it was minus 8 plus the 12, your answer was going to be 4, since the bigger number is 12. Then you move on to this bracket. The difference between 4 and 16 is 12. You write 12. Since the bigger number is 16, 12 is going to remain the same. You are not going to put a negative sign on that. Then 16 minus 40, you get negative 24. You get negative 24. Right. Then 6 plus 1, it produces 7. 2 plus 2, you get 4. Right. Then this situation, I told you earlier that if all numbers are negative, you add the two numbers, but the sign remains negative. So 8 plus 5, you get 13. But this is a negative 13. And this is your final answer. And you're home and dry. I want you to stay focused. Welcome back to the third question. We are given 4, 5 times 2. Right. So majority of candidates, they may get it wrong. Why? Because they just multiply without analyzing the order of the matrices. So the order of the matrices, they play a vital role to determine the output. Right, so using the skill, this is a 2 by 1 matrix, right? Then we have one number and one number, so this is a 1 by 1 matrix, right? So, is it possible to multiply? Yes, it is possible. Why? Because the numbers in between are similar and identical. So, what is the final answer? The final answer is determined by the first number and the last number. So, the final answer is 2 by 1. I hope you are listening. So, let us represent 2 by 1 with unknown letters. 2 by 1 means 2 letters upwards and 1 on the right. So 2 by 1 is in the form AB. This is the 2 by 1 that we are looking for. Right. So, how do you multiply matrices? To multiply matrices, we use the rule of row times column. Rows are found in the first bracket. So 4 is a row and 5 is a row, then 2 is a column. So we have 2 rows and 1 column. I hope you are following class. Right. So, how do you find A? Which combination can someone use to find A? Simple and straightforward. If you look at the position of A is above. So, since A is above, we are going to use the top row. And the top row is 4. To multiply the column 2, since we have only one column, we do not have options. When it comes to column, we are going to multiply by 2. So it's 4 by 2, you get 8. So 8 is representing A. I hope you are listening, class. Then we move on to B. B is going to use the combination of bottom row times column. So the bottom row is 5 times the column, which is 2. 5 times 2, you get 10. Where 10 is representing B. Then you are home and dry. I hope you. Welcome back to the fourth question. We are given 2, 7 times minus 1, 8. So before you multiply matrices, analyze the order of the given matrix and forecast the final answer, the order of the output. Right. So, using the trick that I taught you, this is a 1. This is a 1 by 2 matrix. Which is going to multiply what? Which is going to multiply 2 by 1 matrix. Is it possible to multiply? Yes, it is possible. Why? Because we have identical numbers in between. I hope you are following class. Right. So what is the final answer? The final answer is going to be determined by the first number and the last number. So it means that your final answer is 1 by 1 matrix, which is only represented by a single letter. Let the answer be represented by A. I hope you are following. So how do you multiply? The skill is row times column. Right. Rows are obtained in the first bracket, so I'm going to put a horizontal line. Then columns are obtained in the second bracket. Right. So to find A, we are going to use 2, 7 times minus 1, 8. Using the same concept. First number times first number plus last number times last number. So 2 is the first number times another first number, which is minus 1. So 2 times minus 1, you get minus 2. Right, then you put a positive sign in between so that you add the product of last numbers to the product of the first numbers. So 7 times 8, you get 56, right? So what is minus 2 plus 56? We get back to the concept of directed numbers. When one number is negative and the other one is positive, start by identifying the difference between the two numbers. So the difference between 2 and 56 is 54. Right. But is your answer 54 or minus 54? This is determined by the bigger number. The bigger number is 56 with a plus sign, so it means that our 54 is going to be positive. So your answer is 54. Then you are home in try. I hope you are following class. So I want you to stay focused as I go deeper, as I shed more light on how to do the multiplication of matrices. Right, we are now moving on to the 50th question. We are given 4 minus 3 minus 2, 1. And the examiner is requiring you to multiply. Remember the skill. Analyze the order of the given matrices first before you multiply. Right. So let us start with this one. 2 numbers upwards and 1 number on the right side. How do you represent it? This is a 2 by 1 matrix. Multiplying what? We have 1 number upwards and 2 numbers rightward. So this is a 1 by 2 matrix. I hope you are following. Right, so is it possible to multiply or it is impossible? It is very possible. Why? Because it is satisfying a certain condition that we look for before we multiply. And what is the condition? We must have identical numbers in between. 1 and 1 are similar to each other, showing the possibility of multiplication. Right, but the first number and the last number, they determine the output. They determine the result of the final answer. So our final answer is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix. I hope you are following class. So let us represent the 2 by 2 matrix by unknown letters. This is A, B, C, D, whereby we have 2 numbers upwards and 2 numbers rightward. I hope you are following each and every step, class. Right, so how do you multiply row times column? Rows are found in the first bracket. So do not treat 4 minus 3 as a column. Why? Because in the first bracket we don't have columns, but we have rows. So the first row is 4 and the second row is minus 3. I hope you are listening. Then move on to the second bracket. In the second bracket we don't have rows, but we have columns. So minus 2 is the first column and 1 is the second column. I hope you are following. 2 rows, 2 columns. Right. So I am now focusing on A. How to find A. Right. To find A, you choose appropriate row to multiply the appropriate column. So the appropriate row here is 4. And the appropriate column is minus 2. So 4 times minus 2, you get minus 8. Then you move on to B. The appropriate row is, since B is on the top, we are going to use 4, which is the top row. But the column this time around, we don't use minus 2, but we have to use 1, since B is in the second column. So we have to use 1 in the second column. So you multiply by 1 like this. So 4 times 1, you get 4. I hope you are listening, class. Right. Then we move on to C. C is a letter which is below, right? So you are going to use bottom row and first column. So minus 3 is going to multiply minus 2 to get C. Minus 3 times minus 2, it's negative times negative, you get positive result. So 3 times 2, it produces 6. I hope you are listening. So, do not confuse minus 3 minus 2 with minus 3 times minus 2. Minus 3 minus 2, you are not multiplying, but you are subtracting. So if all numbers are negative, you add the two numbers, but the sign remains negative. So your answer here is minus 5. But minus 3 times with a multiplication in between, your result is going to come out with a positive result. Since negative times negative, you get plus. So your answer is 6. So do not confuse this and this. I hope you are following class. I hope the information is sinking right to your veins. Then move on to D. D is a letter below, right? So you take minus 3, the bottom row, then you multiply it with 1 in the second column, since D is being located in the second column. So minus 3 times 1 is the combination which produces minus 3. Then this is your final answer, a 2 by 2, which is being required. I hope you are listening, class. I want you to follow as we move on to the last question of multiplication so that you understand better. Welcome back, class. We are now moving on to the 6th question. The last question for today. Right. We are given what? This is 2 by 3 matrix. 2 numbers upwards and 2 numbers rightward. 3 numbers rightward. To multiply what? This is 3 numbers upwards by 2 numbers rightward. Is it possible to multiply? Yes, it is possible. Why are you saying so? Because we have identical numbers in between which satisfy the condition of multiplication of matrices. Right. But our answer is going to be determined by the first number and the last number. So our answer is going to be a 2 by 2 matrix, which we are going to represent by unknown letters. So representing by unknown letters, you get A, B, C, D. I hope you are following. Right. So how do you multiply matrices? We make use of row times column. So we have 2 rows, since rows are found in the first bracket, and we have two columns. I hope you are listening. So let us proceed. We want to find A, right? So which combination suits A? A is a letter which is being found at the top, right? So we have to choose the top row times the first column. So the top row is 2, minus 4, and 6. To multiply first column, which is 1, 3, and minus 1, like this. So this is the top row and the first column, which is satisfying the position of A. Right. So this time we do not have first numbers and second numbers, but we have first numbers, second numbers, third numbers. So when combining 3 numbers, you say first number times first number, which is 2 times 2, you get 2. Then you write 2 like this. Middle number times middle number. Minus 4 times 3, you get minus 12. Then you write minus 12 like this. Last number times last number. 6 times minus 1, you get minus 6. So 2 minus 12 minus 6 is going to represent A. I hope you are listening. We move on to B. B is a letter which is being located at the top. So you are going to use the top row, which is 2, minus 4, and 6. To multiply the second column, which is 2, 5, and minus 2. So 2 times 2, you get 4. Then you write 4. Middle number times middle number. It's minus 4 times 5, you get minus 20. Then last numbers are 6 and minus 2, you get minus 12. I hope you are listening, class. So this is representing B. We move on to C. So for C, I'm going to take 1, 3, minus 1 to multiply 1, 3, minus 1. So 1 times 1, you get 1. 3 times 3, it produces 9. Minus 1 times minus 1, you get 1. Then we move on to D. D is a letter at the bottom. So you take the bottom row, which is 1, 3, minus 1. But for column, you take the second one, which is 2, 5, and minus 3. So 1 times 2, you get 2. Then middle number times middle number is 3 times 5. So 3 times 5, you get 15. Minus 1 times minus 2. Minus 1 times minus 2, you get 2. I hope you are listening, class. Right. So we are now simplifying the bracket to produce the 2 by 2 required answer. Right. So you can notice that 2 or minus 12 and minus 6 are going to give us minus 18, since for all negative numbers you add but the sign remains the same. So it's more of minus 12 minus 6, you get minus 18. So 2 minus 18, you get negative 16 as your final answer. I hope you are listening. Right, then we move on to B. Minus 20 and minus 12, since all are negative, we are going to add the numbers, right? But 4, we hold 4 first. So minus 20 plus 12, you get 32. So this is minus 32. So 4 minus 32, you get negative 28. Then 1 plus 9, you get 10, plus 1, you get 11. 2 plus 15, you get 17, plus 2, you get 19. Then you are home and dry. I hope you are listening, class. So thank you for having me in today's lesson or in tonight's lesson. I hope you got 1 or 2 things today. Tomorrow we shall proceed with the topic matrices, whereby I'm going to focus on equations involving matrices, determinants, inverse, how to find inverse matrix. We are going to do it tomorrow. So do not miss out tomorrow's lesson. Till we meet again, shalom.